Got to, man. Gotta bounce back. Shout out to my homie Keys, Xavier Keys, on the vocals on this. Okay. Honestly, they couldn't stop me if they wanted to. Gotta get up, go out and get it, and that's what I'm gonna do. I've been focused, I'm not hungry. Yo, I'm starving, dude. Grind mode with my team, we making these power moves. Honestly, they couldn't stop me if they wanted to. Gotta get up, go out and get it, and that's what I'm gonna do. I've been focused, I'm not hungry. You're gonna starve me, dude. In grind mode with my team, we making these power moves. Cause I ain't got no time to be wasting. With all this music I'm making, man, I'm tired of being impatient. So I keep making these moves here with my crew. Vow to myself to always stay true. So I don't care what nobody else do, I know why. Like an erection, bumps in the road, but nah, I ain't stressing. I don't work out, but homie, I'm flexing. Every time I get on the beat and I bless it. Rise and shine, and I never let another come and stop my grind. Cause I grind all night at the gig, no lie. Then it's back in the booth for some overtime, come on. Nope. Shout out to Miss Alma Ramos. Shout out to Miss B. I said, hey. My mom told me to get them, so I don't care what y'all say. I just keep grinding. Yeah, I stay working, cause it's, you know, I said, that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make y'all mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. I can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working. One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, on the grind, getting mine, I'm working. No sleep. Spit heat, killing these tracks, and I'm not gonna stop till I'm up on top where I'm supposed to be. Everywhere I go, I scream SP. We more than a crew, we your family. Working trying to get a couple Grammys, G, having sitting on top of the mantelpiece. Thank God. Go hard, they just mad cause I'm on my job. But where I'm from is the ground to starve. And starving, I just can't do it. Not having it, unthinkable. So I turn in, stretch Armstrong, and now I can reach the unreachable. Let's go. Hey, trying to... Yo, I said I can't sit still. I just laugh at y'all haters. Cause, yeah, hey, mom's told me, so why don't, let's go, I just keep, yeah, I stay, cause it's, you know, I said, that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make you mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. I can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working. One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, on the grind, getting mine, I'm working. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't get what you want. Whatever you dreaming for, you get out there and you get it. You make it happen. Never mind the haters. Real spill. Cause all day, always, get 'em. Yes sir. I'm grinding. Stay working. Hey, I said that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make you mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working. One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, on the grind, getting mine, I'm working. Gotta. Yes, sir. Love them.
Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 8:04 a.m. and you are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Yes. I can, yes. And we got real claps in the studio too.
Yeah, you don't need.
So we've got a great show for you guys this morning. We're going to have a great discussion as well. You will learn about Young Invincibles. You will learn about happiness. You will learn about the work-life balance, or it will be reiterated to you. And we'll also open up some mail that we got together from our friends, the Gellers, and also Planned Parenthood as well, straight from downtown Chicago. Now, I'm going to Tyrus Brooks. Good morning. Kids are off of school. Victoria Maldonado. God. Here's the thing. When we mess up on the air, we take a sip. So would you please join me in a sip?
Yes, of course.
All right. I have a friend of the show here. Her name is Lily Rocha. Oh.
Yay! Thanks for having me, Curtis. I know we've talked about this for forever, so.
And it happened today.
Thanks for, it happened in 2021, which I think was a goal.
That's right. That's
Granted,
true.
7 days away from 2022, but it still happened.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
we did make it happen. So we hope that you guys are all doing good out there. Good morning to everybody. Aisha Saxon as well. Tyrus, good morning. Sip up the coffee. That's right. We are here. So for those who are unfamiliar with you, tell us where you're from. Give us the elevator pitch.
Who am
Who am
I?
I?
I feel like I'm in an interview a little bit. Like, I am qualified for this position. Let me tell you why.
We hiring up in here.
So my name's Lily Rocha. I actually was born in Mexico City,
Okay.
but my family immigrated to Aurora when I was a baby. And so grew up for a couple years actually on the Near East Side, but then I transferred to the West Side.
All right. Plugging it in for all you West Siders out there. Shouts out.
I grew up in the West Side, went to McCleary, Jefferson, and then West, and graduated there in 2006, which now feels like that was a million years ago, even though it's not, it's not that long ago. It was like, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah, it's really not, but it does seem ancient, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And and then I went to, so after West, I went to Columbia University in New York City. So that was cool. Barack Obama's alma mater, so that was kind of fun.
Shouts
to be like,
out.
oh, this is where Barack, walked around. This is where he studied, and we had the same major, but he had like the easy part of the major, I think. So I took the harder part. So I always felt like
Work harder than a president.
yeah, I was like,
snap.
I don't know, Barack. You could have challenged yourself a little bit more, but whatever. Anyways, and so that was an experience. Yes, it was just tough. It was challenging, but it was good in the sense that I think I learned a lot about myself. I learned I love New York City. I learned how expensive the city really is. I mean, I was a broke college student when I was there, right? So it's like couldn't really afford a lot. But yeah, and then after that, I actually came back home and was here for about a year and a half, and then was working with a nonprofit in downtown Chicago. So I was living in Aurora, commuting, doing the whole thing. I don't think I don't know that I'd ever. I was gonna say I don't know that I'd ever do that again, but I think I might have to do that again at some point.
Yeah, keep the option there and open, right?
But I didn't love it. It was like an hour and a half door to door, so it was 3 hours a day commuting. So
Ugh.
I was like,
sick.
It was a lot. It was a lot. But luckily, at the time I was 23, I had no real responsibilities, so it was fine. But yeah, anyways, and then after that, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. So then I was like, I'm going to go to Southeast Asia for 3 months. And so I did. I went to Thailand and I taught English there at this volunteer English program where they give you room and board if you taught English.
Really?
And I did that for about a month. And then after that, I went backpacking throughout Southeast Asia. So I went to Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was there. That was pretty cool. Learned a lot again about myself and how to do that. And I mean, I was able to afford it because I was living at home for the year and a half prior to me taking off. So I was saving a lot of money. And, people, aka my parents, were like, you could invest that. And I was like, or I could travel. And that's been the case ever since. I have a travel bug in me. So yeah, and then after that, I worked in DC as a congressional aide for almost 4 years. I moved out there, didn't have a job, didn't know anybody, but I started getting with an internship, and then just kind of worked my way into a job.
Right.
Yeah, learned a ton. Learned that DC is not for me. It's just not my vibe. It's not my people.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I love the town itself. Like outside of like the Capitol Hill congressional environment, the town itself is pretty cool. It's got a lot of like arts. It's got a lot of small venues, a lot of good restaurants, a lot of like art, history. So there's always something to do. And it's smallish, like relatively compared to like Chicago or New York. Like it's physically small.
Right.
And I kind of like that. I really enjoyed that vibe, but it's just the work just wasn't exactly what I wanted to do.
More expensive than New York? Or about the same?
Almost. I think rent-wise was almost the same. But I think cost of living in New York's still a little bit more expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is really, really, really expensive there, which is a problem, because one of the big conversations that's always being had is like, how do you get people from like low-income communities into those types of jobs?
Right.
When one, it requires a network really to get in, or two, it requires money to be able to do that. And then three, when you do get a job, it pays you like $35K, and you're living in a city where you have to pay like $1,200 for a 2-bedroom or something. Like how does that work? So anyways, I could write a book about that. Maybe one day I will. But I know a lot of people are making headways and like trying to really figure out like, how do I pay? Like AOC, to her credit, I think she's been looking at that and making sure that her staffers have not just a living wage but like market wage.
Right.
And so making sure that they're able to afford just living and thriving in the city where they're at when they're working a full-time job.
Not just getting by.
Not just getting by, but it's like, I had a budget so closely, and I was always like, well, I have like $20 left over. That is like one appetizer in DC. So I'm like,
that's the
okay.
cheese curds right there.
Yeah, so I went to a lot of receptions, and there's a lot of friendliness going on in DC from a lot of people who want to buy influence. So they like have receptions with food, and they try to teach you about their like issue area.
Is that the word that starts with an L and rhymes with hobbyists?
Hobbyists? Yes. But you know what? People I like how you've had a program, so that's cool. It is, yeah. But lobbyist is like, it's a nuanced topic, I think, because I think a lot of people, one, don't know how lobbyists work, and then two, I think don't fully understand like what it means to lobby.
Right.
But
advocating for issues is, I didn't mean to cut you off, excuse me, but advocating for issues is just a natural part of.
Yeah, I mean, you have the right to petition your government, and air your grievances to your government. It's like in our founding documents, and so. Everybody has a right to go to the government and be like, I don't like this. This is what I want instead. I think the issue comes about when you're talking about resources and who really has the ability to do that well. Mm-hmm. So, we can talk about this in a sec, but I really think people should be constantly contacting their legislators, their aldermen, their elected officials, school board, anybody that gets elected. Partly because of that, right? Like I think that counters some of the impact from industries where they can afford to hire a full-time person to do that, full-time. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I also realize people have jobs and life and kids and school, and have all the time in the world to do that. So I think that's kind of where the conflict comes in. And so I think for me, being a staffer, I was always trying to be like, well, I'm in a position where I'm able to balance all of those different, inputs and all those different communities and constituencies. and kind of figure out really where the argument is, try to identify any red herrings, try to really get to the bottom of it. So that was pretty cool. I really did enjoy that, being a staffer. But at some point I was like, DC is not for me. And I was like, either I go back home, because I always felt like I was going to come back home. I really enjoy Aurora and the Chicago area. I love Chicago. But I was like, but I never really got New York out of my system. And I think it was because I was a broke college student, you know, so like it was very limited experience. And also it was like intense, like Columbia's super intense. So I was on campus doing homework all the time. Like I would every Sunday, like almost like 8 to 9 p.m. I was doing homework and writing papers and essays.
Wow.
And so I never really had time to just go explore. So then I did that, moved to New York, and luckily was able to get a job doing policy advocacy. So now being on the other side of things, kind of essentially being a lobbyist, in the sense that I would go to legislators and advocate for survivors of sexual assault, and trying to end the backlog of untested rape kits. And so, that's evidence that's collected from sexual assault victim, patient rather, and then it's supposed to be sent to a crime lab, be tested, and so we found that that really doesn't happen. And so a lot of police agencies weren't doing that across the country for decades. So it wasn't, one state or one city or one area. I think it was the practice.
Wow.
And so we found that it was really symptomatic of just the fact that sexual assault wasn't taken seriously as a crime. And I think that's still the case, right? Because they have limited resources. So we heard from a lot of police departments, they're like, we have very limited resources. So if we have to investigate a homicide versus a sexual assault, but, in that sexual assault, she doesn't remember what happened, and she was kind of drinking, and she kind of knew the guy, we have to make decisions about where we put that money. But I think that just underscored for us that, there's a lot of notions about what's a real victim of a sexual assault and what is not, right? So a person who is assaulted by their boyfriend after they've been drinking might not be, but, a woman that's modestly clothed and gets attacked in the back alley, that's a quote, quote, real victim. So there were a lot of those issues that was like really interesting to explore. And I really felt it a privilege and an honor to be able to go to legislators and be like, these are sexual assault survivors that I've talked to. Here's what they're saying. This is why you need to test these rape kits. Here's why you need to fundamentally start thinking about how you approach sexual assault crimes. And kind of just really getting at that to different decision makers. Like I presented to an attorney general this in a state on the Eastern Seaboard, and just hearing the feedback there, it was a lot of hesitance, kind of just a lot of old school thinking, a lot of again, just kind of a lack of understanding of this crime, lack of acknowledgement of what it means. But I've recently read an article from that state, and it seemed like things are headed in the right direction. They're starting to echo some of the language I was bringing to them. So I'm like, okay, maybe little by little we're making waves, we're changing things, right? And it really does begin a lot with mindset and thinking and expectations. So that was really awesome. I'm really happy I was able to do that work. But I think at some point, also, after living in New York, I loved it though. New York's New York. There's no other city that can compare, right? Like people try to compare it to things. I'm like, no, it's
I have not been yet.
Oh my gosh.
So I gotta check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say like, sure, do the Times Square thing. I actually haven't been to the Statue of Liberty, but I'm sure that's great.
Right.
Things like that. I've always wanted to do those things. That is just like, I don't know, when you live there, it's like, I'll go next weekend.
Yeah,
like,
right.
And then I forget. But one day I'll go to Statue of Liberty.
Okay.
And and I think what I really liked about it too is just the diversity. Mm-hmm. I could just get on the train, the subway, and in my car there would be somebody with like a hijab, there would be like an Orthodox Jewish person, there would be like 3 young kids, there would be like an old person, there would be somebody speaking one language and then another language, and it wasn't like just Spanish or English,
right.
like, you know, in some parts of the US it's more predominant, but it was like all sorts of different languages from all over the world. But we were all on that train just kind of chilling, waiting to get to our destination, right? We were all from all these different experiences, all these races and religions and backgrounds and ages, but we were all just like, you know, if there was a delay, like the guy would come on the intercom and he's like, first of all, you can't understand them, like, delay of 50 seconds, second straight, please hold, and we were all just like, ugh. So it was kind of like in that, you know, in that instance, there was like some like collective angst that kind of just tied us even more. I don't know. I just had poetic moments.
That's a good American story right there. That's a good American story.
I feel like I just had some poetic moments on the train. And the food is amazing. I mean, it's just unparalleled. I think because it's New York, there's just so many. There's so much talent that it attracts, and so there's so many restaurants that are just
fantastic,
amazing. Yeah, fan-freaking-tastic.
Norma Peterson says, "Thank you for the work."
Oh, well, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and shout out to all the advocates who worked for decades before me on that. I mean, part of the reason why I was able to come in and kind of move that needle a little bit was because a lot of advocates have decades in trying to make sexual assault like an crime and make people understand how it works and things like that, and that there's no quote real victim, that actually most people know their attacker.
Right.
And most people have trouble remembering, not because they're lying, but because the brain, when it's under extreme stress, it either we hear flight or flight or flight, yeah. Fight or flight, but the other one is freeze. And so a lot of times people just freeze and don't know what to do. So sometimes, well, if she were really being raped, she would push him off, and she would scream or she would say no. But it was like, no, that person is having like a biologically like valid response to a stressor that's happening to them at the moment. And so I think understanding how that works is something that I know a lot of advocates are trying to go into police departments and teach about the neurobiology of trauma. So like, how does trauma manifest itself? So why is it that this, victim that you're hearing, give a statement and they're like, oh, he was wearing, green socks. And then at the next time they're like, I think it was green, but maybe it was a blue or maybe a turquoise. And then you're like, is she lying? What's going on here, right? But again, thinking that like stress really impacts your memory. So when you're going through something really traumatic, it really can impact the way that you're remembering things.
Good morning, Michelle Gums, Maria Chorito, Jordan Eichelberger. Good morning, my brother. Oh man, look at all you great people. Good morning. So working from home with boys, 6 and 3 years old, but first GMA. Thank you very much. We love it. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Nicole Marginslow, good morning to you. So many people. A lot of y'all in here. Gary Strong, we'd love to talk about the work that you are doing. Thank you very much. Viso Earth, good morning, guys. So you're going to open up. We have fan mail, guys. We have mail. Lily, I'd like you to open one of these with me.
Okay.
So let's see what we got here. Let's zoom in for the folks. Hey, we both on there. All right. So we've got let's see what we got here. Thank you very much to those who sent us mail.
I love that you get snail mail.
I love
snail mail. I should send some out.
Oh, thank you very much for love, hope, peace, freedom, joy, and health care. Happy holidays. Hope you get a much-needed holiday break. Take care. Thank you very much. These are our friends of Planned Parenthood. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, I got this one. Look at that.
Oh,
really nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
Merry Christmas.
It says Merry Christmas. It says Curtis, Monica, and good morning, Aurora fam. Hope this festive season colors your world with happiness. Merry Christmas. Ben and Josie Geller.
Thank you, Ben
really
and
sweet.
Josie Geller. Yes.
Super sweet. I love that.
We appreciate that.
I love the snowman. I love the holiday cards.
I do too. Good morning, wonderful friends, and Merry Christmas Eve. Good morning to you, Tracy Duran. Good to see you guys. All right, the time is 8:24. We're here with dear friend of the show, Lily Rocha. So, real quick, I want to just I want to ask you about Sally Bice. Good morning. Young Invincibles. Let's talk about Young Invincibles.
Yeah. So actually. I left. I went to New York.
Let's keep going. I apologize.
I went into New York, worked there, loved it, but then I missed home. I really did. And I was flying back and forth all the time, and I was like, why don't I just move back? Okay. And I'm so glad I did, because I moved back in 2019. And if I had moved back, I think in 2020, I would have been pissed, because I was paying a lot of money for rent, and I was... But the reason why, like, you're somewhat okay with it, because the trade-off is that you get to live in New York City and do all these awesome things. And so I was like, okay. But then there was also a time where I was like, but I live here. I, like, do a 9 to 6, and then I'm tired. I go home and I cook and I clean, and then it's, like, 8:30, and then I'm like, oh, well, I don't...
Yeah.
You know? I, like, read, and then just, like, I don't know. There's only so much you can do, too, in a day. And I think I also started noticing that New York is becoming a lot of... because it's getting so expensive, there's a lot of like big box retailers and things like that coming in. So I was like, wait, I see more Targets and more, Applebee's popping up, and like paying all this money to be close to Applebee's and Target. I mean, I couldn't.
Bro.
No, I'm not. I mean, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go live by 59, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And be closer to family. So yeah, I moved back. Luckily, I was able to connect with Barbara Hernandez, who was at that point getting appointed to the Illinois legislature. And I was very excited to see her there. To be honest, I didn't really know her too much, but we chatted, and then I came on board as her chief of staff, and so I was wonderful, like helping her grow. And I really enjoyed working for her because she was very genuine. She genuinely cares, and I really respect a lot.
Right.
And it's. I think you expect every elected official to care, and I think they all do, to varying degrees, right? And I think for her, it was very genuinely not about her, and so I really appreciate that. And so she was a great boss. I loved working for her, but state pay isn't the best. Although it's gotten better, thankfully. I think they finally realized, we need to pay people in order to retain talent.
Yeah, you do. Like, how do we give them more money? I got bills to pay. Right. So and so then I found this job with Young Invincibles, which is Young Invincibles is a national nonprofit organization. Okay. We're based in DC, and we do policy advocacy, meaning that we try to reform and change the laws around healthcare, workforce, and higher education for young adults 18 and 34. Which is kind of crazy because I'm 34, so I'm like right at that end. I'm like, after this I age. So you're doing it for the next generation. Like, I'm looking out for y'all.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. This is my last year of being young. So we started in 2009 as a healthcare organization. So that's when the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare legislation was being debated and all of this. So this group kind of came about as a way to give, at that point, like millennials, young, because at that point, millennials were young. We were 20-something. We were the Gen Z back then. And trying to give them a voice in the policymaking process and getting to legislators and marching for things like, making sure that we were on our parents' health insurance until we were 26. Right. And actually, Young Invincibles is a health insurance term. It's an industry term. So it described those people who were didn't want to get health insurance coverage because they felt like they were invincible. They're like, I'm young and healthy. Why do I need health insurance? Right. And so those were the Young Invincibles.
Interesting. Yeah. Did not know that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that Young Invincibles is like, it's a name that we gave ourselves to be like, we're young and like we can do anything. And I was like, well, it kind of comes also from our history in healthcare debates.
It is it is extremely motivating when you hear it. Young Invincibles, like, they're a bunch of Superman and women.
And it's funny too, because again, I'm 34, so I feel like I'm the cusp of like young, but also like, I don't know. I have interns. One of my interns, I was born in 2001, and I like screamed a little, and I was like, what?
Damn.
That sounds illegal. Like, are you sure you were born in 2001? That doesn't sound right.
Right.
And yeah, so that's kind of funny. But and then also I look 23, so I think people always think I'm like college, or I was in a meeting one time with the agency, no less. We were working with them on a project, and she was like, oh, well, a good way to survey people is to ask create a survey and disseminate it. She's like, and maybe you can get one of your professors to help you send it out to a class. And I was like, well, I've been out of college for like 12 years at this point, so I don't know that any of my professors would really help me. I haven't really kept in touch with them. And she was like, what? I thought you were like 22. And I was like, so people always think that like looking young is a good thing, but I don't know. I think I think people underestimate you professionally a lot. I've noticed that a lot. But I also notice the people whose faces change when I tell them my title or what I do. And then those are the people where I'm like, so now you're nice to me because you know my title or who I am or what I do.
That's got to be frustrating.
It is, but it also tells me more about them, right? Yeah. That I'm like, okay, that's what you value. Good to know. It's not what I value. I really don't care about titles or wealth or anything. I just care, like, are you good, decent being who treats others with kindness and respect? Like that's who I respect and look. But yeah, anyway, so Young Invincibles. I digress.
I like talking to you. This is a good conversation. This is a good conversation.
And this is herbal tea. There's no caffeine in this.
The time is 8:30 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast.
8:30 in the morning.
Right?
Nice, yeah.
Yes, Lily shared with us that she is never up this early.
Yeah, I mean, I get up around 8.
Around 8, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not like, I think I got up at like 6:30 for this, and it's been a while since I've done that. Usually, I try to, but it's just...
It happens.
But yeah, and so we work on higher ed, healthcare, and workforce development for 18 to 34-year-olds. So we have our national office, and they work a lot on like federal initiatives, following, the Build Back Better stuff, putting pressure on the Biden administration to cancel student debt, elevating folks, especially young adults, to a lot of different tables that are round tables and conversations that are happening.
Right.
And so here in Illinois, we focus really on like state legislation. So right now we're getting ready and putting on kind of like the finishing advocacy campaigns of what are we going to do this year, what are we going to talk about, and a lot of it is really on a few different things, right? For like higher ed, we're going to be pushing for increased MAP grants, which is a state-based it's a state-based need-based grant to go to college. The monetary work, it's never enough money, there's never enough, so we keep just advocating and going to legislators and asking for more money for that program. Also just asking them to students' basic needs. We know that it's not just the tuition that you're worried about. You're also worried about, transportation. Like, how am I going to get to school? I have to get a car. That's a car payment and insurance and gas that I have to put in. If you have kids, what about childcare? What does that look like? Things like that. So advocating for a lot of those, making sure that we have and then also looking at young workers in the workforce and like what do they need, right? And I think seeing how much I think our generation has really been shafted really from like previous generations that have and not to be like placing the blame on boomers, but I think the mentalities are very different in how we approach work and what we need from a job, right? And I think at this point we're asking for very basic things like I want to work 40 hours and be able to pay rent and food and go on one nice vacation a year. I don't think that's lavish at all. That sounds reasonable to me, right? Yeah. And kind of talking about work-life balance, like that matters. Like it does so much for your mental health and mental being to be able to like disconnect from work and just like not be on. And so I know you and I actually know each other because you were my intern.
Yeah, that's right.
When I was
That is right. Yeah. Shouts out. We can clap for that, y'all. We can clap. Yeah.
That is so funny. And,
that's right.
Yeah, it's so funny now to think about it. But I was, so I was working for Barbara Hernandez, for State Representative Hernandez, and you were interning, and I just remember you were so good with constituents. Like when you told me you had this thing going on and you were going to do a podcast, I was like, that is the perfect fit for me. You're just like, you're really good with people. You talk to them really well. I was like, yeah, that sounds like the right fit for him.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I care. And I learned a lot working with you in the office and everything. And the work-life balance is one of the most important things I learned. But also, another thing too, kind of on the point of working and what we need to live. You look back at it now, and what people are advocating for, it does kind of seem like, wow, we should have been advocating for this a long time. Work was like, I don't want to call it oppressive, but you look back and you're like, wow, like especially with the pandemic, wow, I was really in a cubicle all that time, drinking the Keurig every day, and just like that, a person may have lost their job, or you see that the work you were doing, spreadsheets and pivot tables, you could have been doing that at home. You could have been working for home, you could have. We feel robbed in a way. Yeah.
And
of course.
And I think, just looking at like wages being stagnant for the past few years, looking at the increased cost of living for a lot of things, looking at, just the pandemic, how things have shifted for some people, right? There's still a lot of people who are essential workers. And regardless of the public risk that's going on, they still have to show up for work, and they're getting hourly wages and no benefits.
Right.
So, like, how as a society are we okay with that? I'm not.
It is. I am. Yeah, I'm not either. Michelle Gum says, "I can feel that Lily. She does her best writing at 3 a.m." And Monica is here, our intern. Monica, good morning. All the way down there in North Carolina, keeping it live in the South.
Yes.
Yeah. And having an intern, I feel like I'm giving back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does. I feel yeah. No, I had a good time working with you. I really did. I really did. I felt like because you want to do a good job and everything, but I do feel like you have to decompress. You have to take care of yourself. And that's one of the things, like, even with Monica here, sometimes we doing like, just just go home. You know what I'm saying? Small potatoes. It's not even a whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
That's right.
So, like, you gotta take care of yourself so that you could be of service to others, I think. And that's a lesson that I think I've learned recently, and just being able to say no to things. And as much as I want to be involved in like all the community events and all the things, just being able to be like, sorry, I can't. I mean, I think for me it's also kind of tough because my 9 to 5 is doing this type of work.
Right.
So then like my extracurriculars to also do it, sometimes it's a little like, I just want to do something fun. Like, I just want to go like roller skating.
Yeah.
or like, I don't know, go whiskey tasting or something,
right.
Things like that. But I think I used to feel a lot of guilt about that. Like if I wasn't actively doing something to like try to change the systems or do something to give back, like I felt like I wasn't doing enough. But now I'm kind of at the point where like, I'm a person too, and I deserve to have fun and feel good about myself in life. And so, I've been starting hot yoga.
Bikram yoga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I like you said the accent. I'm always like Bikram. Bikram.
Bikram yoga.
Bikram yoga.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, get your Bikram yoga. That's right, what? American yoga.
Yeah. I should just have a big flag and an American eagle flying in the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So like that's been wonderful. I'm surprised I enjoy it as much as I do. And I'm not flexible at all, but it's challenging and it's fun. So, just kind of taking care of yourself. And then also I've started this new thing that when I go on vacation, I delete my work email off my phone.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't, because it's so easy on my phone to just switch back and forth between my personal and work. Mm-hmm. And I'm an inbox 0 person, which means that I don't like to have any unread emails.
Girl, me too.
I don't like it.
Me too.
I don't
no,
like it.
I'm draining that bad boy.
Every
Gotta drain
email
that.
needs to be responded to, deleted, ignored, at least, unsubscribed from. I can't do it. And so I also sometimes will read emails, and if I have something to do and I just don't have the time to do it at that moment, I will mark it as unread. Mm-hmm. So it'll go back to my unread queue, and then I know I have to come back to it. So that's kind of how I keep organized. So I think for me, just seeing any unread emails, I think right now I have like 15. It just gives me anxiety.
Right. I feel you.
So that's why I was like, it's so easy to switch back and forth. That's why I was like, I'm taking my work email off of my phone. I'm gonna like enjoy myself, and also like I'm not a medical professional. Like nobody's life is depending on me, right? Like you can literally wait a few days for me to get back. Like it's just, I'm sorry, like we think we're all important, but like literally you can calm down.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Or depending on, on the boss, I don't know about anybody else, but like if it's that important, why not just do it yourself? I mean, it's not the best thing to tell your boss, but like if I have something pressing, what am I going to email you about it?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I should caveat though, is that I prepare really well to be out of office. So like I give everybody ample notice. So I manage a team. So I'm always like, hey, I'm going to be out starting in these days. It's in 2 weeks. Make sure you plan ahead. If you need anything from me, or you need me to prove anything, do it. Mm-hmm. And then I do make myself available for any like big emergencies, right? But it would be like, I don't know, if Biden called and was like, I really need to talk to Lily about workforce development policy. Even then I'd be like,
like, bro, can you call back later? Like, this is not the time.
I'm really enjoying my margarita by the beach right now.
Right. So. Mr. Biden. Anna Sierra, good morning to you, dear friend. Good morning. All right. So I want to give the people, I'm going to take myself to a commercial.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you people a good piece of news I have to tell you about. So the ILRPP program, which is the Illinois Rental Payment Program, round 2 is currently going on. It ends Sunday, January 9th at midnight. With this program, you can receive up to 18 months of rental assistance. This is for families who have, experienced a loss of income due to the COVID-19 pandemic. You can go to illinoishousinghelp.org and complete the application. For more information or questions about the program and other state agencies that may help, you can reach out to the Neighbor Project. Their phone number, 630-906-9400. Once again, that number is 630-906-9400, 8:42 a.m. Okay, also, I want you to look. On this show, we want to prepare you. That's what we do. Lily and I were talking about this before the show started and everything, guys. State Representative Barbara Hernandez is teaming up with A-Town Boxing to present you with a free self-defense demo class for women. This will be Saturday, January 8th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And it will take place at 727 Hill Avenue. Free water and snacks. I would go just for that. The class will include demonstrations and practices of different self-defense techniques. Wear gym shoes to participate, and no registration is required. For more information, you can call 630-270-1848. That number, 630-270-1848. The time is now 8:43 a.m. You are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news.
Hey.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. All right. So, you mentioned that you are an advocate for citizens using their voice to contact their alder person or their state representative or their senator. I'm curious, in the time, was that an attitude that you had before your DC days, or did DC strengthen that? So kind of another way to say, you weren't a novice when you went to DC as a congressional staffer, were you? Or did you have an idea, or did you pick it up along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I had a bit of an idea. So when I worked in Chicago right after college, I did similar work, but I was more like entry-level program coordinator, kind of helping the policy analysts, go to Springfield and talk to legislators. So I kind of saw that, but I think it was in DC where I really saw the power, and it sounds so cheesy and trite to be like the power of one voice.
But it's real.
But it really is.
Yeah.
And like, I know we can talk about philosophically, like about democracy and, if we're really truly representative and this, the systemic barriers that have been deliberately constructed to keep certain people away from from participating in our democracy. And those are totally real and valid and 100% there. But I'm kind of talking like on a very practical day-to-day level. I was the one who, was like, oh, these 3 bills are coming up for a vote. How should I tell the congresswoman to vote? And I would, first of all, look, like, is there anything about it in that constituents are saying? So I would, like, scour local newspapers. I would kind of go to the congresswoman's Facebook page, see if anybody's commenting on anything. I would just kind of Google it and see if, like, there's any chats or message boards of, kind of talking about this issue. And this is, I think, when I wish, like, man, I just wish some people would come in and tell me what they think about it. And I was like, or some people would come in and talk to their legislator about what it means, right? And it's intimidating, though. I think now being on this side, it's so easy for me to, like, pick up a phone and, like, call an office and be like, who's your scheduler? I'd like to schedule time to speak with Representative so-and-so or Senator so-and-so or school board member so-and-so. But now, but I also remember being on that side and just feeling like they're so unreachable, like they're on a pedestal. They're like these like elite celebrities, and I'm this like lowly Joe Schmo type of person. I can't reach them. But actually, it's the opposite way. When you're the constituent, you have a lot of leverage, even though you think you may not, especially if you're a voter.
Right.
And that sucks for a lot of communities that can't vote, like a lot of undocumented communities. But I think even then you still have power because you are a member of your community. You have a voice. You impact those around you. So I wouldn't discount yourself as like, oh, I can't vote. I don't have a voice. That's not true at all.
I've been telling people that, yeah. Like, oh, I'm not documented. So what?
I mean, you can't vote,
but make yourself be what?
And I get it though. Like, there are signs that I think certain governments and certain communities have put up to make you feel like you are an outsider if you're undocumented or you were born in another country. And those are real, right? So I don't want to invalidate that either. But at the same time, like, I also want to just acknowledge that you are here and you work here and you're part of our fabric of our community, and you have a right to talk to the folks that are running the place, because at the end of the day, I mean, partly it's also like their salaries are paid from our tax dollars, right? Yep. So, I mean, that's part of it too, and also just they need to be responsive to the needs of the community. And I will say, I think sometimes there's a lot of nuance there, though, that you have to talk about. Sometimes there's no cohesive grand view from a community, and I think that makes it difficult for the legislators. Sometimes there's like a slight, barely majority there. Right. Sometimes it's a trade-off between, this one item versus a larger thing that you could possibly get for your constituents or your district if you're able to kind of, negotiate on this one item. Right. So I will say, from a legislator standpoint, it's not easy either. And so, but I think that's just the way it works, right? It's not easy, but it shouldn't be. I think creating systems and rules that we live by and live fairly and give everybody an equal opportunity to succeed, I don't think that's easy.
Yeah, one of the things I remember that has stuck with me and I liked the most about interning and everything and being in the office, that was my first time like in the political world. And I've looked back, I told my mom about it, like, I guess it just goes to show you like the view of America that some people have and other. Of all the things I thought I could ever do in life, I never thought that I could ever. Not that I couldn't do it, right? But I didn't think there was a place for me. They're gonna let me take part. I felt like that's what made me want to do. That's what made me like work hard. I was like, I thought I could, like the Navy. I believed I could fly planes. I thought I could do a million things other than that. Like, I just didn't see myself like represented or being able in that way. And yeah. And you guys were just like, yo, call this office and ask this person. Like, really? Oh, really? Call Springfield? Like, you sure?
Like me? Like, what am I doing? Like, who am I? I think you're right that it's a lot of it's just confidence and being told that you can, because I think so many of our ancestors have been told that they couldn't.
Right.
And so, it makes sense that you kind of grow up with that mentality. I totally get it. So I think now actively, like, things that people like you and I have to do, who have been there and see that it is accessible, is tell people about it and encourage them, teach them, get them out there. So, I mean, encourage people to talk to your legislators, and it's like, well, what do I talk about? And I'm always like, share your concerns and how it impacts you directly. You don't have to be a policy expert. You don't have to be like, have the correct solution. I mean, part of their job is to come up with a solution, right? And figure out how they're going to solve it. But they need to hear from you what the problems are before they can come up with solutions. And so, the other thing too is be civil, though. Like, don't
of course, yes,
don't be an this is radio, so don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Right. This is a family show, y'all.
Don't be a mean person. Be civil. That doesn't mean passive. I think a lot of people equate being civil with being passive, and that's just not the case. But just like tell them what's up. Like, it could be anything from like, oh, there's a lot of speeding going on my street, to my healthcare insurance is messed up and I'm paying way too much. Why do the premiums keep going up? To my family disproportionately benefits from some tax benefits, but my friends' families don't. Like, why is that? Like, how can things? Whatever it is, I think all of your lived experiences are valid, and you can just go to legislators. And I think people don't know how to. I would say Google them and find either a phone number or an email for them. Bust out your Gmail, like compose new email and like send it out. Tell them who you are, your name. Tell them who you are. I mean, like your name and where you live. Not like, let me tell you who I am.
Lily Rocha said, tell you who I am. Yeah. That's right. My name is Ray Smith, 727.
Let me tell you who I am. But yeah, no, and then just like be complaints and then hold them accountable. I think a lot of people are like, we need to hold our elected officials accountable. I'm like, well, that literally looks like an email. Yeah. Like that literally looks like being like, hey, what are you doing on this? Right. Can you tell me when you're going to do something on it? And that doesn't mean it will always work out in your favor. And to give, elected officials some leeway, it's hard. They're one of a body of people, right? So they also have working with other people who have constituents who may be saying the complete opposite of what you're saying. And I think that's something that people disregarded in the conversations about Congress, right? They're always like, it doesn't work. And I was like, actually, I think it works the way it was designed to work, which is not perfect. Thank you. But it was designed to give certain people, I think, a leg up on some of these processes, right? So it works that way. And it also works in the sense that it's hard to come to a consensus because, I mean, can you imagine somebody from New York City and somebody from rural Kentucky agreeing on the way things should be run? Thank you. Right. Like, no. So it makes sense. They're like, oh, these people aren't doing anything. I'm like, actually, the people that vote for them, that's what they want them to do, right? Yep. So I think there's also something there where it's thinking about what does that mean? But then again, not everybody can vote. And some people have been disenfranchised. Some people have been deliberately excluded from voting and having that right to influence their legislators the way other people can. So I think that's also an important area. And I keep being like, and this, and this, and this. And I think it just speaks to how nuanced a lot of these conversations are, right? And so I personally don't watch like any of the pundit talk shows just because. You watch PBS. PBS NewsHour is where it's at. Yeah. Oh my God. PBS. They are Shout amazing. Out to PBS. Yep. Yamish, Judy, like the whole gang over there. That is my crew. Squared away, professional news. You really cannot get anything more precise and accurate. Is PBS. And nuance, I think that's the important part. Like sometimes I don't like. Sometimes I'll watch a segment. And I like it because it's not necessarily trying to drive a specific narrative or trying to drive home a solution. It's really just helping you better understand the issue, right? Yeah. And so anyways, I love it. I actually also got like the like the Passport, I think, for PBS. It's kind of like their streaming service. So it's like $60 for a year, and you get access to like all the PBS shows, including like Nova, Nature, American Masters, Frontline. Like all of those are my
Frontline
jam.
Frontline is the business.
Those are my jams. Like I literally like binged some like Nova some Nova episodes. It's just cool because like I mean, you know, working in like politics and government, you know, I don't do anything with the hard sciences really, so sometimes it's cool to just like learn about like microbes or something very different about my world. But you know what's cool about it too is that like you start seeing patterns. You're like, oh, that's how microbes interact because blah blah blah. Maybe that's how like people interact in an ecosystem that's legislators and advocates. You know,
Who's the neutron here?
Yeah, you kind of get to see like parallels between different universes that we think are so disparate, but they're actually, you know, one and the same. And so anyways, that was a plug for PBS.
Shout out.
Yeah. go check them out. They're the best.
Yep. The time is 8:55 a.m. This the time just it flies. All right, Vanessa Rodriguez Aguirre, good morning to you as well. So many of our dear friends are up in the house. Christmas, where are you gonna be?
So I'm doing Christmas Eve at my cousin's house. Okay. She's newly married, and so we're gonna go with her and her new husband. It'll be cool. And then Christmas Day, I'm gonna spend it with my mom. Family and that side of the family, so that'll be cool. I got everybody some little presents and really excited. Gotta get my cat a present though, even though she's really annoying and honestly doesn't deserve it.
You mentioned the cat was annoying. What's your cat's name?
Jellybean.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really annoying.
I
love her, but like she needs to calm down. She really does. Like I'm over it getting like woken up multiple times during the night. Like I'm done. So, I mean, at this point, I'm just going to have to put my foot down and be like, I don't care how long you scratch on the door. I'm not coming in.
Right.
And I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to go figure out my cat sitch.
Now, a new year is right around the corner as well.
Yeah.
I feel like you kicked a lot of butt this year.
Oh, thank you.
Done a good job. I've been seeing you at Treadwell, getting your work on and everything. Are there lingering things to do before we get into that new year? Are you pumped for 2022?
Yeah, I mean, work-wise, I still have a little bit to do. We have a retreat, like me and my team have a little retreat to kind of plan the year in the first week of January. So kind of just getting all of that together. And then I think just personally, I'm kind of starting to set up my new like workout routine. I used to love working out either just at the gym or at home. But I think now since I work from home and I'm home all the time, I actually now like going to classes. So, because that's my like social out of the house activity. Yeah. Yep. So I'm like trying to find the right classes. Like I just found some hot yoga classes. I found some kettlebell classes that I'm really excited about.
Kettlebell? What's the...
it's like a, that like... it's like a weight, but it's in the shape of a circle, and it has like a handle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And you can do all sorts of things with it. And so, there's like a kettlebell class, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'll try that. So just signing up for classes, trying to figure out. I want to go on vacation in April, but with the new COVID variant, who knows what the world will be like in April. So go get vaccinated, people, please.
Word.
Yeah, at the
seriously.
very least.
VNA Healthcare, shouts out to VNA, Karina Suarez, Darden, Ali Hernandez. I mean, we tell you every day.
Yeah.
We tell you every day.
Yeah, and if you don't know, like, comment on Good Morning America. I'm sure we'll be able to help you find some resources. At least I will.
Yep, we will.
But please get vaccinated. Get your first dose, second dose, your boosters. I'm going to get my booster, I think, probably.
Nice. All right. So, Michelle Gums, have a great day at your meeting. Norma Peterson, we should get the kids together for a one-on-one while we have ours. Oh, all of us parents trying to get the kids together for fun. Kingsway Pharmacy on Montgomery Road has walk-in availability for boosters. If you want Pfizer, call 20 minutes ahead of time so they can get it out of the freezer. Thank you, Norma Peterson. And Casildo Casey Cuevas. Sadly, COVID cases are hitting an all-time high, and the variant is in all 50 states. Please take all precautions and get vaccinated. Cruz Ocho, what up, my baby? All right. Damn. Got 2 minutes left.
2 minutes.
All right. We covered work-life balance. We covered the cat. We covered Young Invincibles. We covered the discrepancy, or not discrepancy, but the difference between New York and advocacy work here in Springfield. We told people to get vaccinated and boosted. Is there anything we didn't tell them before I give you the last word? Is there anything that we missed? I told them the news about the boxing demo. I told them about ILRPP. Oh, did y'all see this big cookie? Look at this swole. Go to Treadwell. Swollen. Look at that, but it's thin. Peppermint cookie. Okay.
Although I am partial to the vegan chocolate muffin.
That's right, the vegan chocolate muffin.
So good.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Vegan desserts are not my favorite, actually. Even though I'm not vegan, I lean towards
the
vegan
taste.
desserts.
Yeah.
Well, I think because they have to experiment so much on how to like get away from dairy and eggs and that type of thing, that they end up using really cool substitutes, and I think it makes the desserts just a little bit meatier, ironically enough. What a word to use for a vegan dessert. But it makes it just like a little bit more substantive, and it really, like, the flavors really have to work with each other. So I think there's just a lot more thought that goes into like how to bake a vegan treat. Anyways, I'm a fan of vegan treats. Go try them out. They're delicious.
Okay, the vegan chocolate muffin at Treadwell. All right, so the show ends on a positive note.
Yeah.
What's your message today for the people of Aurora?
You can definitely make a difference. Your voice really does matter. But I also hope you take time for yourself, and you hope that you take time to just recover, feel your best self, maybe get a walk in, get some exercise, stay hydrated, hang out with your friends and family. Good vibes all around.
Good vibes all around. That's a good message. That's a good message. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoyed this wonderful show. I did. This was a great conversation. Did you guys like the conversation? Oh, look at you. This is a good show.
That's great. Thank you for having me on.
No doubt. I hope that you guys have a great, blessed, and positive day out there. Christmas is coming up. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. We will be back here tomorrow for another episode of Jeanette's Splaining, and then Christmas is Saturday. We hope that you guys have a great rest of the day today. And as I always tell you, take care of yourself and each other.